continue with our Theology of the Body Mondays. And we were talking a little bit about same-sex attraction, right? And we were mentioning how an attraction in itself can never be a sin, does not change our dignity or anything like that, and how sin always involves a choice, right? So it has to do kind of with behavior. And so that's where sin can come in with particular behaviors when it comes to same-sex attraction. We also talked about how every person is made for love and intimacy, something kind of very kind of essential to kind of the theology of the body. And so the importance of the church to create spaces for anyone who may experience same-sex attraction to find welcome and possibility of meaningful and intimate friendships. And this is not just on the kind of ministry level, if you will, but on a personal level. Like, this is something that we need to work towards in my personal friendships with others, to always be kind of welcoming, right? And today I like to talk about how our culture tends to understand same-sex attraction into just two particular ways, and how there's maybe some errors in these two things. So one is regarding identity. The other one is regarding so-called quote-unquote marriage equality. So kind of one of the big pushes I think from our society regarding this subject is that if I experience same-sex attraction, this is kind of who I am. Like, this is my identity. This is who I am. My identity is my sexual attractions, and this is just very narrow, a very narrow view of identity, right? Of course, attractions that you may experience are a part of who you are, but it is not who you are at the core, right? If I'm married and I'm attracted to somebody that's not my spouse, like, is that who I am? Well, no, it's just an attraction that I'm experiencing. Or I'm driving down the highway and I see a provocative billboard and I experience some attraction to it. Does that mean that that's who I am? No, that's not who I am, right? There can be a danger in making attractions that I experience the core of my identity. It makes sense, though, if this is something that begins to be done, where this is who I am, and when I embrace who I am regarding just a particular attraction that I experience, it makes sense that a consequence of this is that it makes conversations about this subject difficult, because when one is just maybe speaking about a particular attraction or a behavior somebody is engaging in, one may take it so personal, and you may feel so personally attacked because you've made this the wholeness of who you are versus just a particular thing that you do or a particular attraction that you experience, right? The core identity of who a person is has to do with the image and likeness of God, which also we've mentioned again earlier in the theology of the body, right? This is who we are. We are a person, male or female, made in the image and likeness of God, a son or daughter of God the Father. This is the deepest core of our identity, and not attractions we may or we may not experience. So this is just kind of one thing, or one of the ways in which our culture tends to talk about it, where there's kind of an error there. The other one has to do with maybe like the phrase of marriage equality, kind of a push for like, well, fairness, right? Now, kind of underneath this, really, the question is, what is marriage? That's really kind of the question that's underneath this possibility of quote-unquote marriage equality. So, if I wanted to marry two women, and those two women wanted to marry me in return, I could ask, well, are you in favor of marriage equality for us, right? Most people would say, well, no, you have to choose. Like, marriage is a relationship between one person and one person, right? Or say, like, I'll admit to that and say, okay, I'll choose one, but it's going to be an open marriage. So we're going to marry, but actually we're going to be able to have affairs with other people, and there's no issue with that. Are you in favor of marriage equality for us? Well, most people would say, well, no, that's not really marriage. Marriage kind of involves fidelity, faithfulness. Okay, well, what if I want my marriage to not be permanent, right? Instead of entering wedlock, I'm going to enter wed lease. And, I'll buy a marriage license for 10 years, and then if the thing's working out, we can buy another one. If not, we'll just, no hard feelings. Most people would say, well, no, like that's not marriage. Like, marriage entails a certain commitment till you die, which kind of implies underneath it, like, marriage is something. It's not just whatever. I can't make it whatever I want it to be. There's some qualities to what marriage is. Another example, and actually some people are beginning to claim this more, are can I marry myself? Or some people are beginning to marry themselves. They're calling it polygamy. Can you marry yourself? No, it involves two, right? Marriage is not whatever I want it to be, right? And so many people, as if you kind of share these other examples, will see, well, yeah, that's not really marriage. Like I can see that marriage is something, and it's not just whatever, right? And so when we talk about quote unquote marriage equality, right? This is not about discriminating about against anybody. It's about what marriage is. It's not about thing of permissiveness, like may I get married? And like, okay, well you can't because you are different. No, no, no. It's like, what is marriage? Can this be a marriage? Similar to, whatever any other definition, like a triangle or a square, right? Like, if you have a shape that has four sides enclosed, right? And that be a triangle? It can't, right? Triangle by definition is kind of three sides, right? And yeah, there was something else I wanted to say, but I cannot recall. But yeah, just these are two ways in which it's talked about. There's some errors there, and so because marriage is between one man, one woman, and the whole thing we've described before about having to be faithful, fruitful, total, and the other one that I can't recall. All right, here it is.